So, thanks everybody again for joining. My name is Alex Rodov and Trusted IT Group here. We are happy to host our yet another podcast and web podcast with our friends from Projectum. Christian, please introduce yourself so we can get started.
Of course. My name is Christian, and I'm from Projectum. I have done a lot of Project Online migrations over the last couple of years. We actually started this a while ago when Microsoft announced that Project Online is no longer being upgraded or provided new feature to. We started migrating all of our customers into our new platform.
Great. Awesome. So we would like to obviously start talking about the latest news from Microsoft, and that is Project Online end of life in September of the next year. So 2026, end of September, Project Online is going offline, right? And we have everybody who is still on the Project Online probably scratching their heads like, what do we do and how we're going to migrate and everything. A lot of people, a lot of companies I know that already took some steps to migrate and make the change. So we are here to discuss between Projectum and Trusted IT Group. We've done a lot of work together. This is awesome partnership here, and we would like to kind of bounce around some challenges, some questions and answers, hopefully to everyone who is listening as to what are the options, what can we do, and what is it suggested, route from Microsoft. We do have a lot of slides, on the back end here. We don't plan to put any of these slides right now, just really a Q&A session here. So the first question is, Christian, what is it the Microsoft suggested route? Like if you're running Project Online within your PMO, if you ask Microsoft, like what do I do now? What would Microsoft, say? What is it Microsoft saying really to that?
Really good question. So Microsoft's suggested route as of now is to migrate into Planner Premium, also previously known as Project for the Web. They also have a recommendation to go into project operations, but this is very specifically if you're using invoices and need to integrate to something like Business Central. So for Planner Premium, then can be a migration route for some customers. If you don't have those advanced planning on portfolios, programs, and so on, then you can easily go into the Planner ecosystem. And it could be a good option for some, but most of the customers that we talk to are enterprise customers, and they have need to support their stage gate model, to support their business rules, and maybe also have more advanced security requirements. And for them, Planner is not an option.
I see. So, what is that? What would that be? The threshold? Like, at which point the planner is not enough, right? I know the planner is like accidental. Microsoft like to call it, occasional project manager or accidental project manager. Like you're sitting you're doing your work, like and then someone says you are the project manager now, right? And you have to run and execute the project, and people would just look at the planner as the first lower hanging fruit. If you look at Microsoft apps right there, you would see the planner and you say, okay, well, maybe I should do this. So when is the planner becomes not enough?
So Planner in itself is just a planning tool. Most people know it from the Kanban board, which is a really nice layout, really easy to use. And there's also the schedule engine. Now, if you need to roll all of that up into some kind of portfolio, if you need a status report from your project manager, a risk analysis, stakeholder analysis from your project managers, then it's not enough. And that's not to mention, of course, if you have capacity planning, resource management, time registration, or similar, then it's not enough either.
Okay. Awesome. And we talked about all kinds of options. I really don't want to spend too much time on Project Server option as an option to move from Project Online. Sort of stepping kind of back, from the technology part. All of us here on the implementation and technology side are excited about new stuff, right? And a new technology, and Power Apps is obviously our new platform for all business applications. So what is it excites you about the Power Platform as that stepping stone of used to be in Project Online and now in Power Apps? What is it exciting about that for you?
There is so many things that is exciting about moving from Project Online into the Power Platform. One of the first thing I noticed when going into the Power Platform is the stage gate process. Everybody know how slow and cumbersome it is to use in Project Online, and this just works like a charm in the Power Platform. Now, also other things to highlight is, of course, the check-in, check-out queue, I would call them issues that you have in Project Online is no longer there. It works like a modern platform where you simply just start working on your project and you decide what your management should see. There's a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, I've been very vocal about check in and check out, feature. I was just I remember I'm doing a post about this or article about this. It just has to, it's not human. It's yet not human to have check in and check out, especially when the new cloud systems are here, and we can all work on the same document, together. So why still have the check in and check out? Well, finally, these times are gone. So, uh,
Yes, they definitely are. And I also like to highlight this is just, from a project manager's point of view, what has been annoying us. Then we can also take in all the new capabilities that we get on the Power Platform. Portfolio management was very poorly supported in Project Online. Scenario planning is another area. What will happen if I go in and change my plan? What will happen if I hire 2 new resources? This is something we can do in the Power Platform.
so if we take the entire life cycle of project management, and talk about the initial planning and intake, I know you guys have this amazing product, XPM. Anyone who would want to take a peek at that, go to either our website or Projectum website. And I know that there's a lot of names have changed, but anyway, we will post all the links, so you know exactly where to go. What is it you guys have done in order to create that optimization, create that value for all the PMOs as far as initiation and intake, the start of the process? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, of course. I think we first took this step when we saw that Microsoft was no longer developing on the Project Online platform and they were starting moving into the Power Apps platform. Then we looked for all the gaps that were from the planner perspective. And that's also why we support, migration into Planner. And then we saw stuff like stakeholder management is poorly supported in Planner or not supported at all. So we create components on top of that. So you can simply just activate a component and say, I need stakeholder management. I need advanced risk management. I need to do advanced roadmap, which is a very nice feature that we have, that you can go in and take from multiple plans, show them in a roadmap, report to management, report to the rest of the organization. What are the dependencies between our projects? What is the current budget? Are we overspending on our budgets? And then also the reporting capability, having the capability to report up across the projects and setting budgets top down on the portfolio. So you can both do your bottom up analysis on what is your business case for a project, and you can tell the portfolio managers to do the top down planning. Then you can see if they're actually meeting each other or if they're missing projects or running too many projects in their departments.
Yeah, a lot of times when I talk to my friends or talk to someone who is not in this space, like, what do you do? And then I start to explain, I'm doing project management type of work, and consulting and training and implementation. It's very, very hard to explain. And a lot of times people think about, oh, project management is just, running schedules and doing things like running a project. But in reality, There's a lot more complex portfolio and governance. As far as governance and having those stages and running security and governance process, how is it different from Project Online and now in Power Apps?
So I think in Project Online, we have to do a lot of hoops and loops to actually get the governance implemented. In the Power Platform, we have something called workflows and business rules, where we can simply just say, if you are in this part of the department, this is what you should fill out. These are the fields that are required to you. If you choose to not have a project manager, but have your portfolio manager run the projects, then there are some other requirements that you need to apply to it. If you are in a certain stage, we might only present certain information to you. So if you're in the initiation stage, we don't show you how to, follow up on the budget, follow up on the business case. We only show that when you are in the stage where that makes sense. We also have a lot of information about approvers. And checklists that we need to check before we move into a certain stage. So let's say that you are right before going into the planning mode or going into execution. Then we have a stage where we show exactly who needs to approve it, when do they need to approve it, what are the checklists that needs to be completed before we can move into the execution phase. Making it very intuitive for the project manager to see what do I need to do in order to follow the right governance.
Awesome. Thanks, Christian. I think there's a lot of use for this information. I think a lot of people trying to understand what is it different in Project Online and Power Apps and XPM solutions specifically. Um, so if we talk about the metadata and Project Online, we know has project metadata, task metadata, resource metadata, assignments metadata too, right? Um, what how are we improving in Power Apps? What is it improved in Power Apps comparing to Project Online?
So we could look at this from a technical perspective or from a project manager's perspective. I think from a project manager's perspective, you're no longer meeting these limitations that you saw in Project Online. You can only have, I think it's 5,000 projects or 2,000 projects. It is with sites. You don't no longer have those limitations to how many custom fields you can have on tasks. And you and we have not unlimited, but close to unlimited calculated fields and roll-up fields, which is a new thing, I think, compared to Project Online. You could not roll data up because there was basically just one level. There was the project and the tasks. Now we can roll up data, so we can tell the system exactly how we want to roll up the progress on the projects, the accumulated remaining work, the planned work, obviously, and the assignments.
Did you guys start using the field-based security and masking of the sensitive data based on variables during the governance lifecycle?
I think that's a very interesting point, because that's something in Project Online. You have a very fixed set of security rules you can set up. You have a couple of groups. You can set up RBS security. In the Power Platform, you can control it. I have to say, we come with a set of security roles out of the box, but you can control it, so you can say specifically what fields do they see, what fields should they be able to write to, which ones should they be able to read to, and you can also inherit security. So you can say, well, for this portfolio, if I assign a portfolio manager, that portfolio manager will have access to all the projects in his portfolio, maybe only with read access, not with write access.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the true enterprise advancement in the Power Apps and Power Platform compared to Project Online. We had to be really creative. I remember those days. We had to be really really creative in order to accommodate something like this, right? Um, if we talk about quickly the project desktop, right? It still stays. The project desktop is still going to stay, and I do believe this is one of the best dynamic scheduling tools out there. That is average project manager can learn and really get a lot of value from MS Project Desktop. So,
Mm.
and it's been very popular, extremely popular. There's millions and millions of users of that MS Project Desktop. So, how would that work with that news, with that Power Apps, and then Project Desktop? Can you like give
Yes.
everybody overview of how will this all play together?
So first of all, the project desktop is not going anywhere. Project Online is being retired, but the project desktop will continue to work. And as you rightfully say, a lot of people is really happy with the desktop, and it does a great job at what it does. Now, some project managers would prefer more of a planner kind of interface where it's a little bit more accidental project manager that doesn't need a lot of training to use it. But if you need to build, to do construction, build a house, build a tower or something like that, the desktop is definitely still the way to go. Unfortunately, Planner does not support the desktop in the way that you want it to. You can import your plan uh, into Planner, so you can go to Planner and say, I need this particular MPP file imported into my overview, but it doesn't go the other way. So it's kind of a one-way street. You can, start up your plan from a desktop client, but you cannot go back to the desktop client afterwards. Now, this is
Yeah, so I think it's important to mention, like if you would like to move all your MS Project desktop schedules to Planner, you can do this, right? And it's fairly straightforward process. Obviously, if you need some help, we can help you with that. But it's a fairly straightforward process. But as far as enterprise and XPM or PPM 365 or other Power Apps, advanced solutions, what are the options with that? With
yes.
with
So if we
working with MS Project Desktop.
Yes. So for the core planner functionality, it's not possible to work together with the desktop. But if you activate the XPM solution, then you can do it. Then you can do what you say, that you work in the desktop, report into your project, continue to work in your desktop, and report your task back in. I think this is a very nice functionality. Of course, it limits what you can do on the web, but you got the full desktop experience with dependencies, finish to start dependencies, you name it.
Awesome. So I wanted to talk quickly about reporting, and a lot of us have done a lot of reporting in Project Online, and a lot of us have been creative in doing that. Especially when it's not just Project Online, we engaged a lot of times with additional data systems, additional ERP systems that we're integrating with, and running typically Power BI reports. That's probably most common scenario. I mean, but you can run those reports in anywhere. But we would like to talk about the Power BI specifically. How would it change if we move from Project Online to XPM or other Power Apps solutions? How would it change the reporting side?
So if you move into the XPM solution, then we have something called the Power Hub, which basically takes a snapshot of all data in the system whenever you change it. So you not only get, the same reports and better reports, but you also get historic trend analysis on your data. So you can go log in and see on your project, how is it looking right now? How many stakeholders do we have? What is the planning doing? And then you can reverse time and say, how does this look 1 month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago? And you can even go in and start to do forecast on this data. So you can see that if your budget is keep on increasing month after month, then there's a good chance it's going to continue to increase. By snapshotting all of that data, we now got a possibility to actually do the forecast. And I think another way now we're talking about business intelligence and Power BI, then the entire Power Hubs is, sorry, there's a little bit of an echo. The entire Power Hub snapshotting all that data can also be used in AI, because AI is really good at analyzing these large amounts of data to quickly give a portfolio manager, as an example, pinpoint which projects are not performing right now, which one has a bad trend compared to all the projects that are running fine.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good opportunities with Power BI and Power Apps. A lot of advancements there. Microsoft is working hard on that fabric, including to make it all easy for everyone who is on who's using Microsoft technology and Azure. We're happy to extend those questions, and I'm sure there's a big elephant in the room called AI, right, and Copilot, which I think we will dedicate a separate session for. I mean, there's a lot to unpack over there. We're sort of running out of time, but I did want to talk about and ask you this question. If you would take an average customer, right? Think about an average customer, and give me the average amount, the average parameters of this customer. Say the average customer with average number of projects, such and such, with average number of project managers. How long will it take to move that project online customer, average customer, to Power Apps, say XPM, for example?
So that is a very tricky question, of course.
Sorry.
So no worries. We typically divide it into to multiple stages. And the first stage in moving the customer is, of course, decide what needs to be migrated. We need custom fields, maybe where customers we can archive. We have projects that we might be able to archive before actually doing the migration. And then we need to do a one-to-one comparison between the new system and the old system, because most of the time you did some configuration in Project Online, and often we see a lot of very customized versions of Project Online. And we need to figure out how to map those customizations into the new tool. But when that is said, then in order to give a realistic estimate, I think it's very much depending on the size and how many project managers are involved. So let's say we have a small company, let's say 50 to 100 projects. We have 5 project managers, maybe 10 project managers. That size, that migration can be done fairly fast, within maybe a month, maybe a month and a half. But this also requires us that the change management process of it is directly with the project managers. That we just talk to them and say, what will happen when we go into the new tool? If you encounter any issues, this is what we'll do. Now, if we look into the more enterprise customers, then we might have, 200 to 500, maybe 1,000 projects, and we have maybe 40 project managers. In this case, it takes a little bit longer time because we need to plan the rollout and the change management part of it. We need to prepare to them, both training them in the new tool, explain to them what will happen to their project plans, where will they be able to find it, have them verify the project plans. If you have a lot of tasks in your project plans, it's important to verify them before you do the production migration, so project managers doesn't get surprised or say, well, my milestone moved, I didn't expect that. In that case, it typically takes 2 months, maybe 3 months. And then, of course, there's the more advanced cases where we have multiple departments across enterprise organizations. I think this is why we'll go into a dialogue to estimate how long time that will take.
These time frames are not, it looks like a lot of people have a lot of time still to make the call. But let me ask you this. If you take your best engineer, the best technical person, you can get, right, between my team and your team, okay, let's just say we'll put 2 of these people together. We'll lock them in the room, and we'll say, here's a Project Online environment, migrate to XPM. How long it will take them to migrate? 1,000 projects.
And we have the PMO manager in the room as well.
Fine.
We need
PMO manager in the room. But I'm going to lock them in the room. I'm going to lock them in the room and maybe have some water and coffee. How long will it take them to move?
So the actual move, that takes around a day. Maybe a day and a half if you encounter some issues. That is the movement of data, because it's basically just, if you're using our tools at least, starting the process and then waiting for the process to finish and then see, is data all right? And if it's not all right, maybe you run it one more time to see how the data is supposed to look. But I think that is not including all the preparation and the change of the business. It's not just clicking the button and then wait till everything is moved. We also need to plan out, what do we need to move, what will happen to archive projects, and the stuff I mentioned before.
Look, I'm going to have to quote you on that and say, Christian said it's going to be done in a day.
Yeah, that's why I put a caveat on it.
Yeah, obviously it's And I think I always say to my customers, and I always say to our team, to tell it to all of our customers, is basically, look, it's 80/20 rule applied here, very, very, true. 80% of this complexity is not really moving the data. The technical part is easy. Technical part is really, really easy. What it's harder is to deal with the change management and dealing with lifting this whole thing off the ground. But the technicality of that, and technology improved quite a bit in order to move things quicker. That's true. That's true, and a great XPM solution. We're big fans and follow, and great partner here. Well, hopefully we're a great partner here to get this out there in the world, and we're happy to answer any kinds of questions around that. So basically, that's all I wanted to talk about. If there are any questions from the audience, let's see if I get any questions from the audience. So yeah, if we can just quickly talk about, there's one question. Let's talk about the resource management. Another elephant in the room, huh? The most complicated part of the equation. If we were to look into Project Online resource pool, right, and synchronization of that resource pool with our Active Directory, and there's different names for that right now. Let's just say Active Directory for the for this specific scenario. How would Power Apps address the resource pool, and then if you expand on that a little bit, and we can wrap this
Yes.
up.
So the resource pool is connected to the AD in Project Online, but you can also create material resources, etc. In terms of the migration, we have the same setup in Projectum XPM at least, where we have the resource pool available. So what we typically do is we connect to the same AD groups, simply just importing it from the AD the same way we did from Project Online, and that will give us all the active resources in the same way that you have in Project Online. Now, there are cases where people are no longer with the company, and in those cases, we will assign a dummy resource to the task where that person was previously assigned. For the material resources, we have a manually exported import of those.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. Thanks. And look, and I think we're just really scratching the surface here just by talking about this. Obviously, picture worth 1,000 words. Christian, thank you so much for joining us today. And I know there's some news in Projectum that is out there. We'll have another reason to talk about this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.